Hello televiewers, good evening. Welcome to another edition of Prime on My Media Prime. We are this evening going to be looking at three key subjects. We are in the know of what has happened to the president of the CRM movement, who is visiting the northern regions of Cameroon. Professor Maurice Kamto is said to have been attacked today, and social media is awash with the fact that there was an assassination attempt on him. We equally are going to be looking at the plenary session opening that actually took open a few days ago at the National Assembly, with new members who are making their way to the glass house for the very first time. We're going to look at whether these new persons can change things around. We equally are going to be looking at the interview that was granted to Le Messager by Sisi Siko Ayuk Tabe, who is setting new conditions for dialogue to take place with the government of Cameroon. We discussed this with our panelists. There are three of whom are already in the house with us. We are awaiting the arrival of Alex and Gepi of the CRM movement, especially with what we are getting as news from the northern part of the region concerning his national president, Professor Maurice Kamto. We are in the company of Kedia, Robert Malanfe. We are glad to have you. Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Greetings to my co-panelists and to all our beautiful Cameroonians watching us. I would like to take this opportunity to greet the Minister of Public Health and to extend the cry of Cameroonian citizens, those that are sick of HIV, which we've seen many of them sending out message to say that the antiretroviral is not available in public hospital. I will plead that the minister should do everything possible to ensure that these drugs are available, because this group of people, they are minority, they are sick. We need to do everything to protect their health. That is their fundamental human right, because we talk about human rights is political, economic, and social. So in the social aspect, the government needs to provide good health to its citizens. So it will be very, very appreciative if the government can look into their cry. It's a group of people that maybe it will be difficult for them to come out and demonstrate, like those that have kidney problem or the rest, because maybe the sickness they have is the one that people have a view about it. So wish the government could do something about this group of people.
Equally in the program with us is Tamfo Jones. He is the Secretary General of Modekna Party. Good evening, Jones, and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Kum. Good evening, fellow panelists, and good evening to televiewers watching us in Cameroon in particular and around the world. It's another day. We are here to give you people what we have gathered all this while.
In the program today with us is Tamai Chavis, who is a journalist and a peace negotiator in the making.
No, in the making.
In the making, you don't have.
No,
welcome.
No. I am a certified Harvard online student on negotiation, taught by William Yuri, co-founder of Harvard Negotiation Project. So I am not in the making. I just want to clarify that so that the viewers out there understand. With
very little experience.
It doesn't matter how you negotiate with experience.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for welcoming me. And of course, I want to say a big shout out to the Minister of Health and the Corona Task Force. It's not been easy. I must say Cameroon is a rare example to only have 2 cases from when it was announced and up to now. It means that the Ministry of Health has actually been doing a lot in order to prevent further spread of the virus. If that be the case, we want to say congratulations, and all hands should be on deck to ensure that we prevent this disease. If you do dichotomy within the world, you realize that schools are shutting down in US, in some part in France, Ireland shut down schools, Germany soon to shut down schools, Italy, the whole of Italy is quarantined, and the wife of the Prime Minister of Canada equally had to have corona, and you see Senator Ted Cruz is on self-quarantine, and you start looking at the bigger picture. Corona flights are shut down, India shut down incoming flights from the whole of India, and so if that happens to us, I think we are going to have a serious crisis. So I want to say that the task force, we want to congratulate them, and they should continue to prevent this disease from spreading in Cameroon.
Okay. On Sunday, we are going to be coming back to the impacts of the possible impacts of the growing corona cases across the globe, because as we speak, the United States of America is supposed to shut its borders as from midnight today, and we know what is happening in Italy already, and China is really affected. The president of France yesterday declared that schools were to stop by Monday.
Yeah.
So the impact is touching across, touching all the segments of.
If you realize all fellowship programs have been postponed, all scholarship programs postponed, major sporting events.
Okay, I want us to start with our first topic. I start with you, Tamfu Jones. Your party is an ally to the CRM movement, Cameroon Renaissance movement of Professor Maurice Kamto. You are the Secretary General. Your ally has been touched. Have you been briefed on what happened up north?
Yeah, we have been briefed, but the official communique of what has happened has not yet come out, and until someone is declared guilty. Because as long as we are now, the people, the suspects, are not yet guilty until investigations are carried out for them to be condemned or not. So far, we are only suspecting that an attempted murder was carried out, and those who were on the field, they can better tell I was not on the field. All what we are hearing is through phone calls and all that, so we cannot conclude so far. So we are yet waiting for the investigations that will be carried out by the competent authorities to give us the feedback.
Okay, Robert, equally a key opposition member, one of your colleagues, because you're a member of Mouvement Progressiste of Jean-Jacques Ekindi. Anyway, you are assisting. I just want to get your feeling after the information came that there was an assassination plot against Professor Maurice Kamto while he went through Garoua today.
It's so sad that we are having such incident in Cameroon, where the president always described our democracy as an advanced democracy, and we see an opposition going out for just rally to greet his people, that he went around the world, discussed with Cameroonians in the diaspora, and he came back. He's doing a tour to greet the people, and such an incident is occurring or is happening to him. We are waiting for a press release from the representative or the communication secretary of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party, and maybe a word from the spokesman of the Cameroonian government, because he is an opposition and deserves to have security from the government of the country. And if we get all this report, then we'll finally know how to analyze it and to digest what has happened. Because if we are expecting the government to do investigation, we'll wait like the way we are still waiting on that of Ngembu, which is more than 8 days and is going to almost 20 days as the country is. So we'll just wait and get the facts, the presentation from the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, that we can actually digest what actually happened there. But for now, we can't really say, because he still remains a suspect.
He still remains a suspect. Looking at the circumstances surrounding what we have gathered from up north, what do you have? What is the feeling that you have of what might have transpired? Who would want Professor Maurice Kamto dead?
When I heard the news, I was taken on a bath, and equally the news made me to have some kind of calculations as though I'm a military person, because the facts surrounding the attempt was is worth questionable, especially when you look at the fact that the attacker actually had a pistol, just a pistol, and the attacker actually was almost like in a crowd, and what comes to my mind is that we want to carry a suicide mission like that in such a way that, you know, with just a pistol you can be neutralized, and of course, or you can be arrested as he was arrested. So I look at the fact that there is still a lot that needs to be uncovered as far as this is concerned, because military training 101 will tell you that for that kind of attack to be done, either you use a sniping position, or you actually have a kind of revolver that you can actually do that and buy your way through with constant shooting. So at the end of the day, looking that you have just a pistol which you cannot buy your way through, after it means that it's either a lone wolf attack where the person chooses to attack himself. You know, politicians have so many enemies. You may not want to say that the person may have been sent by state A or B or C. We understand that as professor, first of all, not everybody will like you. And secondly, as a legal person, not everybody will like you. Then as a political person, not everybody will like you. As a family person, not everybody will like you. So if you start looking at this, it's so quick for us to point fingers at Mr. A, Mr. B, or Mr. C, because we see that he went to other areas. There was no assassination attempt. Like he was in Chang, he was in Douala, yeah, he was in Yaoundé, yeah. And of course, if somebody has to do that, it may not be that necessary move. But again, it again call for an act where we see that our oppositions should be guided, and the government too should take measures to ensure that the protection are done to opposition leaders. As of now, I must say that he is not much of that kind of caliber of opposition that we used to see, because if we look at the political landscape of Cameroon, we see that he did not go in for the municipal, the legislative election. And if you look at the upper and lower house, especially the lower house, you see that we have other parties that are actually, we can call them now the front runner as per opposition. Now he's still basing his opposition majority based on the just ended presidential election in 2018, where he came second. So I think that we still need to put one or two things together to actually know what happened in Garua. But again, it's a call for caution that Cameroonians need to be aware in themselves that their personal security comes first, and it is time for Professor Maurice Kamto to hire the services of private security agencies, such that if the government cannot or may not be able to give him adequate security, because he actually enjoys adequate security from the government, but if it may not be enough, there is need that he can add, because we have private consulting security agencies that he can actually lobby for. Again, I will say, Leo, conclusively on this point, that a lot needs to be told to Cameroonians as far as that attack is concerned. It is too early to say there was actually an assassination attempt or not.
Yeah, because I read already they say the CRM is calling for an impartial trial of the suspects. Do you really believe, from the surrounding evidences of what we have gathered, or from the observations of the actions surrounding the movement and activities of Professor Maurice Kamto, that there was a genuine assassination attempt?
I think Cameroon being a nation, we have different jurisdiction, how can I say it? This man is just a suspect already. So if people are saying that he should be condemned, meanwhile he has no investigation have not yet been carried out, I think that they are doing that out of emotions, because critically investigation should be carried out, and then he taken to court. If judge and he is guilty, then he should be condemned. But if he's not guilty, he should be set free. You can never tell, because when they said there was an assassination attempt, we don't know if the man pulled out the pistol, shot in the air, or shot elsewhere, or the pistol was even loaded. All those details we have not yet had them. Until we have such details that we will know if at all.
Because we saw the pistol in the hands of Professor Alain Fougué.
And those are some of the errors that were carried out there, because when you look, if you had to judge from images, they ask you that who is the suspect, who will maybe be carried away by feelings to say that maybe the one carrying the pistol may be the suspect, which is not good for an intellectual like him. So I think that we should leave emotions apart and think critically.
Yeah,
I think critically, yes.
You see, it is normal for the members of Cameroon Renaissance movement to ask for an impartial judgment. They are going to the court. They are pleading that there should be justice. There should be no favoritism or any type. So it's legally correct. It is just what anybody should ask for. That I am taking this to court. Sir, it is normal to cry to the court that please be just when you are going on with your activity. It's just like normal when somebody can even go to court and is guilty and will beg the court that please tamper justice with mercy. So there are various ways for them to cry for justice. Now we should even talk about it still in the social media, because at this moment I still consider that information as a social media information, because we've not had maybe the communique team of Cameroon Renaissance Movement to come out and talk with the government. So for now, it still remains a social media news. And when you realize this guy holding a gun, we have his other picture that's showing that he's a uniformed guy. But I still repeat, it is a social media news. We have pictures showing that he's a member of the Cameroonian Armed Forces. And so if he is, then he will be tried not at the normal court, but at the military tribunal. Yeah, and if he is not a member of the military tribunal, then they will ask him where he got the pistol. Because when you realize, or you look at that pistol, it is not locally made. You realize that it is not locally made. So those are the various questions that the investigation proceedings will be struggling to find out. And about maybe the intention of shooting, no. We've seen people that decided just to make name out of themselves and they go ahead to shoot personality. Like the guy that shot Pope John Paul II, yeah. And he was questioned, why did you do that? He said, no, he just wanted to make a name so that the whole world would know about him. So maybe this guy just decided to attempt on Professor Maurice Kamto to make himself a name. So yeah. For now, we cannot really.
I'm sure. You say a guy attempted to take the life of the Pope in. Yeah. That was in Italy. But let's take the case of this guy. He is a gendarme officer, if we go by what we see on social media. Now, a gendarme officer who wants to take the life of the president of the CRM movement, would he not know where to be at that time to get Professor Maurice Kamto? Will he be fidgeting? As an amateur, because I'm sure if we were to liken that, the guy who did that on the Pope was an amateur, but this guy is a professional. Is a professional.
Well, according to what we see on social media, Leo, I think that to answer your question again, I still put some kind of question mark as per the attack, because earlier you understand that there is what we call a strategy. All the military officials are trained as to what it means to take a target on and off site. On site simply means you are taking the target when there is a crowd. Off site simply means you are taking the target at the battlefield. And in this light, a professional, as we see on social media, the pictures that we see, will not by any chance take that, even if that professional happens to be the last person to pass through the training exercise in the military school. That person will understand that it takes a lot to carry out such an assassination attempt. Except that person is mentally deranged, then we can say that maybe that person was a former military official who was sent to prison and because of trauma released, and you know, all those kind of things. That could only be the possibility that except that person is mentally unstable, that that person has actually taken these drugs that we call whatever that they call it, that gets people drowsy and of course get them confused. But if we have to be objective, I think there is another issue that Tamfu raised, which I equally want to stress on. I think it's time good enough for us in Cameroon to keep away emotions and focus on facts. You see how for now that guy has a good case. What I mean by he has a good case is that he will go scot-free. The fingerprint of that gun has been tampered with. That's Exhibit A. We understand that when you say you catch somebody flagrant delisoto in the act, that person goes straight to jail. But in that regard, where you get a suspect, the first thing as a professor of that magnitude is to preserve that fingerprint, the element of evidence, such that when he goes to court, because in the court, it's facts, it's not what you see or what you saw, it's what actually happened. So a lawyer actually can defend that guy and prove it, because he saw the pistol was in Professor Fogwe's hand, and you saw people touching the pistol, and of course fingerprint changes hand, people getting snapshot. So it gives you a prospect where you can actually say that, hey, this guy can go scot-free. At the end of the day, if this guy is not punished, don't blame the court, because the court goes to law. You must come with your evidence. It's not hearsay. At the end of the day, I would want to caution people out there that when an incident happens like that, ensure that you don't tamper with the evidence. if somebody actually comes and you have the means to catch that person, let's not get carried away with the emotion. The number one thing that comes to your mind is the evidence should not be tampered with. Professor Fogwe is a lawyer. He too will tell you that that has been tampered with if you are to if he is to defend that same client. So at the end of the day, we should understand that as political parties stand for and the rest, when you are going out there when such a thing happens, you should be cautious that this is an act of preserving the evidence. And secondly, you look at the where that guy was picked up. It tells you that it's something that you cannot say at this moment whether that guy was on an assignment to protect as an anti-gang, because we have anti-gang who are
always in the middle of gatherings.
In the middle of gatherings to protect such a person. Because at that point in time there was that mob. They just saw him with gun. Maybe they just saw him with gun and they just get on him that no, he wants to kill based on the mentality of the CRM party. They have a kind of permit me to use it, a hostile tendency towards those whom they found guilty. So maybe that guy was an anti-gang who was there to instead protect and to see that, you know, it's a northern region. That northern region has a lot of terrorist activities, and professor of that class needs protection, which can be invisible. So you have to be there invisible to protect Cameroonians, because as of now, he still remains a Cameroonian. So you cannot just conclude that, hey, he came with a pistol to shoot at the professor. So at this point in time, we must say that investigation has to be carried out. They tell us what actually happened, and if proven that that guy was actually an anti-gang, the party has a right to apologize, because that act was done and everybody sees his picture. His family now should be victimized, because I saw on Facebook with a child, and you see, it tells you that family is not protected anymore. I must say that we don't do that in times of crisis. That little baby.
He is raising an issue. I'm sure anytime there is a gathering, a mob of persons, there are always military persons who come in what the French parlance are civil with arms. They carry firearms in case anything happens. They may retaliate to protect lives. Yeah,
that's very, very true. That's why I said earlier that investigation is supposed to be carried out for us to conclude. Because so far we cannot conclude. I believe the president, Maurice Kamto of CRM Party, is a lawyer and he should know such things very well. Because talking about anti-gangs, these guys are always well armed. Some may put their weapons in the way that their firearms in the way that they are visible, and some hide them. Maybe in the crowd, while moving with the crowd, maybe somebody mistakenly touch the firearm, and maybe it's signal to the other that this man is carrying a firearm, and maybe time was not taken to find out why he was carrying a firearm in the mob and all those confusions. So far, because as I said earlier, that we did not have information. If he pulled out the gun, attempted shooting before his hand was hit, or he pulled the gun and shot in the air, or he pulled the gun and shot and the bullet took someone else. So far we are just speculating. We cannot give conclusions yet until investigations are carried out, because now this man is in the middle of a mob. He can't express himself out of fear, trauma and all that. Everybody, they are just imposing everything on him. He can even say things that he was not supposed to say out of fear, and to save his life. You see somebody who has a little baby with a nursing wife. So I think that investigation should be carried out, and then they will know if the man is guilty. Then he faces the court, and if he's not guilty, they should set him free, apologize to the family, especially the child. That's why I feel so much for the baby.
What you raise is very important. At that point when you have a mob, you just say, yes, you are a military officer. They will say, they will beat you that, okay, you have been sent by so and so to you know, the tension, the political atmosphere that we have. So he may say something that may just be there to protect his own life.
That is it. Because
okay, we move over to our next talking point, which has to do with the ongoing parliamentary sessions going on at out there in Yaoundé. Many newcomers are following the 9th February elections, twin elections, municipal and legislative elections. We have the likes of Nuran of the PCRN, who is making her entry at the Glass House in Yaoundé. We have persons like Cabral Libi, who are making their entry, Honorable Gala Gerard, who is also making his entry into the glass house, and a host of others that we may not necessarily not know. We should say that this is a session for discovery by many MPs.
Yes, the session is one of its kind, given that after the crisis in the northwest and the southwest, the elections were held even upon the ban of the Amber fighters that nobody should vote in the northwest and the southwest, of which at the end elections took place there. So my question now, and what we always should see, is that the new MPs who succeeded to become MPs should prove the population wrong, because for the past years those who were in parliament did nothing. I would say they did nothing, because if they had done what they were supposed to do or what they were expected to do, I don't think we would be in this crisis that we are into today. We're in this crisis is due to the failure of the elite, especially the MPs. So if these new ones who came out upon the crisis, I think that if they are going out there to do the right thing, who knows?
Yeah, but my question to you is, this is a session of discovering the glass house and also mastering how things are done there.
If you say discovering the glass house, is saying that
for the new ones,
the newcomers.
That's what I'm saying.
More than 50%.
They are discovering the glass house, because that's what they were. That's what had been their dream. If not, you will not march on blood to go to the parliament. Especially those that came from the northwest and the southwest, being from the CBGM or from the SDF whatsoever. So they fought for it, and now they are there. We hope to see what they will do there.
Okay, I want to get your appraisal. They are in session now, Robert Kedia. You live in Douala and amongst people. Do people actually attach value, importance to what is going on in Yaoundé? I'm talking about the National Assembly. What is the view that Cameroonians have of the National Assembly?
You see, when such a thing happens, commoners have their way of seeing it, and intellectuals have their way of seeing it. With regards to intellectuals, they have their own view. You realize that the number of seats of CPDM member in the parliament has increased. And when it increased like this, you realize that CPDM member at the assembly, they are not there to give their view, what they think, or to represent what their people want, but they are there to toll party ideology and decisions of the party. I'll quote you this example. For instance, in America, there are people, there are senators that are with the same party with Donald Trump, but they voted for his impeachment because their view and their people don't permit them to, like, say he should not be impeached. So coming back to Cameroon, you realize that there are people that are looking at this aspect that, okay, fine, the number of CPDM parliamentarians has increased in this assembly right now. It simply shows that there will be little or no debate at the level of the assembly, and nothing will come out from it. Then we have some other group of people that are just excited to say, okay, now fine, we have youth. We have people of 32 years, 33 years that are coming in, more to that women. From their appearance, they are successful, like the lady you are talking about, a successful, young, beautiful woman. You realize that normally there's a potential, something coming out. So the aspect of young people coming in, there are people that are expecting that, okay, fine, let's see what they can do. But when you look at their interview of some of them, like for instance, Honorable Ngala Gerard, you get him saying that he will ensure development in his constituency, democracy, and to bring back peace from the northwest and southwest region. I pick especially the aspect of development, because they have their grant to take care of the local development at their level, meaning that that one now, as an individual, you are responsible to carry out that development. It is no longer party ideology at the assembly to vote law or not. It is now you, your conscience, and the people that voted you. So when he came out and talked about development, I was very excited that, okay, it has to do with him as an individual and what he has to do with his people. We saw also Cabral Libi, who came out to give outcry that the issue of problem, and he cited the most important problem that we are having here in Cameroon. He talked about nationality issue, he talked about issue of teachers, he talked about the Anglophone problem, even though he forgot or he did not mention the most important problem that youth face in this country today, which has to do with drugs. the problem of drug is more than the problem of unemployment. And if this issue of drug continue in this country, in the next 5 years, we will not recognize our youth again in this country. They are growing mad. So when you look at all these aspects, then I also saw one parliamentarian that came from the north that openly said that, yes, we have been elected so that we'll come and implement what the head of state wants. So when you get that type of outing from a parliamentarian, you just read his mind, you know that, okay, that one is there. Anything the party says is yes, sir, yes, sir. So, but those are the view of people. But my own view, as a political scientist, I will say that there is nothing good that will come out from it, because majority is CPDM. They'll vote what the bill that comes in, which is what has been happening. So I'm not expecting to see anything new. You see, like somebody like Cabral Ibi, he was endorsed by the cardinal, which I respect. I'm a Roman Catholic. When the cardinal endorsed him, I look at him and say, wow, he's one of the young. He's younger. He's not a youth. He is younger. So we should expect something that, okay, he will be vibrant. He will come out and talk. But no, decisions taken there have to do with vote, and he has just one vote. And his parliamentarian from his party, there are just 4 of them. What can the 4 of them do? Nothing. We decide majority CPDM. So that's just the frustration we have there, that majority CPDM, decision making will be CPDM, and nothing will change.
Okay, nothing may change because we cannot draw a conclusion even before the session ends, and they have a 5-year mandate, so let's judge them by the end of their mandate. Many young guys, do you think something may happen? But with you, let's look at the elections of the president. A lot of suspense. The House Speaker is not too well. He's in. Many people are dangling. Should he go? Should he be taken to him? Others are saying that there is an Anglophone coup to take over that seat, and we know the implications of an Anglophone becoming House Speaker. Possibly, yes.
I want to beg all those of the Anglophone expedition at the Parliament. They should not sell us for the 3rd time. Why I say they should not sell us for the 3rd time is that they should not even eye that chair of the speaker. It doesn't go with the power we think it should go with, and secondly, it will not have a kind of impact on the common man, and of course give Anglophones a voice that they need. Let me just expatiate what I mean. Normally we have we are talking about regional balance, and we are talking about the aspect of equal distribution of power, and by default, if an Anglophone is the Prime Minister, it does mean that the Speaker should be someone from the north, and as you see, the Senate President is coming from the west. You see, we have a kind of even, we'll call that gentleman's agreement, in such a way that each region has a kind of balance. You look at that of the Constitutional Council is coming from the center. You look at the person who replaced Alexis Dipandamwede. You look at it coming from Littoral. There's this kind of positions where if Region A occupies, it should. And that's why you see that for the past time that Kavayege Jibril has been at the helm of that parliament, we've had Anglophones as PM without any call. I think the power of PM is better than that of having Anglophone as the speaker, because this is it. If an Anglophone is elected Speaker of the National Assembly, what should happen to the north or to these other areas that will say, okay, you guys have the speaker, you guys have this, and we are crying?
But possibly, if an Anglophone takes that position of speaker, the Prime Minister moves to the north.
That's what I'm saying. No. Let me land. That's why. No, let me land. You will have your time. No, you will have your time.
We are talking about regional balance.
I'm talking about regional balance.
I'm sure most of the things you said previously are not written anywhere as law.
They are not written anywhere as law. There's what we call gentleman agreement. He's a political scientist. He can best explain the gentleman's agreement. It's not that you just keep aside emotions. I would really love that an Anglophone should head the speaker position. But if I look at the speaker and the Prime Minister, head of government, there are only 2 people who have the power to sign decree, Leo. The speaker, the president, and the Prime Minister, head of government. If you look at what we talk about, the 2000 law laying down modalities to open private audiovisual media house in 2000 was signed by Peter Mafani Musonge. So you start looking at this, the aspect.
But I raised the issue of suspense, some people think that the House Speaker is not too well as we speak, and that there is need for another person to take over. Others even think that he's been there for so long.
Yes, he's been there for so long and he needs to be retired. He needs to go on retirement. It's not a family property, it's not a personal property. So I think that who should take over him, I cannot choose who, but I would not think that it should be an Anglophone. Anglophone should be out of the box, because so far we have gone too far into into this crisis and into the affairs of this nation. So, because it was said that if the president is a francophone, the vice, that is the second in command, should be an anglophone. And now it is not outdated. It's a constitution that brought two states together. Yes. You cannot joke with it. It's not what is happening. It's not a constitution. Yeah, but it is not what is happening. I'm telling you, on that constitution, it was written that nothing should be changed. That was the federal constitution.
Yes, but
now,
yeah, can we come back to
what I'm saying is that so far somebody needs to replace Kabaye Yegejipre.
Okay, that is what Moderna thinks.
Moderna thinks so, because we cannot continue in a computer age with people of the Victorian age. Because you realize that majority of the people in government, our leaders, of the Victorian age, who don't even know how to own a computer. Sorry about that, but it's an unfortunate thing. So if a younger person comes occupy that position, I think that better results will be out. Just take a practical example. You realize that when you look at the energy and the work that a young minister like the Minister of Health, Malachi, the man is working hard. He's working so hard in that ministry. Yeah. Given that if other ministers were as young as him and energetic and vibrant like him, we will have a better nation. It's not all about Anglophone, Francophone. No, it is who will give us what we want. If the head of state, Amadou Ahijo, gave to the Anglophone man what was said in the beginning, we won't have this Anglophone crisis today. If Mr. Biya came and said, Mr. Ahijo did not do this, I will do it to show you whether you voted me into power. Because when Biya came, he was applauded by everybody. When he went to the Northwest, he was made fun of France. So if he said, people trusted me as your phone, take this, I don't think we will be here today. So it is not about being Anglophone, Francophone. It is somebody who has the nation at heart that will serve the nation. Because when they say that this man has been into service for how many years, 70 years, 30 years, he has been a civil servant or a civil king.
What is it that Kabaye has done outstandingly that should justify his stay there?
The thing that he has done,
he's speaker. We've seen Cameroon go through crisis. What is
he has done many things, and the latest that he did was to hold down on the Anglophones, shout at MPs that they should not discuss the Anglophone problem, to make sure that the status quo is maintained. So that's what he has done.
I think I remember him in 2015 when he came to the Southwest region for tree planting exercise. That was an outing which he went across the entire nation. He planted trees in Bombe Bakundu. He went to Balangi. He equally went to Kumba, and of course that was when we saw his outing in Anglophone region, as per when I actually got into the position that I am in. But if we look at the achievement in terms of crisis management, I think he ought to have done a lot in order to preserve national unity. Because national unity from the early stage of this country was still at his hand. And he had that power to say that, okay, let's even open a discussion on this. Because when you open a discussion on that, it mitigates than aggravate. At least people, when you listen, people know that, okay, let's calm down because they are listening. Even if you may not take an action, but just the fact that you're listening or you are talking about it, and just the fact that you change some kind of tone, that, okay, let's handle it. Look at the way he handled Boko Haram crisis very well. I think when we talk about the Boko Haram, yeah, at the parliament where the parliament.
No, but he said in parliament that he had a Boko Haram power. I mean, no, but never proved who the
he
Boko
never
Haram
proved. No, yeah. He never proved.
So how did he handle
No, when
it?
I say he handled it well, because there was a coordinated action from the parliament where the parliament actually passed a series of bills against terrorism, and that the anti-terrorism laws, and which again from this other civil side of it, there are still some issues, and that law was drafted by an opposition. You see that, so we should not blame Kavaege, because that law was drafted by someone whom we thought should protect us. We look at the coordination action he did against Boko Haram, it was successful. But when it came to Anglophone crisis and the 2008 crisis that we had, I think he did not handle that well. When it comes to what I would just want to conclude is that when you look at Kavaege in terms of crisis that affect just the nation, that does not affect the regime, he handled it very well. But when the crisis affects the regime, regardless of whether the regime is wrong or right, he comes in and takes the regime's position. So
yeah, he toes the party line. Now, what are the powers of the president of the National Assembly? Do you think that he has some powers that he can effect changes, bring development, touch certain key things in this nation?
You see, before him being a member of parliament, before him being president of the parliament, he's first of all a parliamentarian that also have his own grants to carry out his own local development at the level of his constituency. That's the first thing. So at the level of his constituency, he has his responsibility there. Now, coming now at the head, as the head of all parliamentarians, all laws that are voted at the assembly, he is the one that gives the final endorsement and sign on it. And remember, according to the law, if they have their law, they bring it to the president refuses to sign it, automatically we know the number of days that effectively if the president does not sign it, it will become law if he does not send it back to them for ratification. However, those are what ought to be, but that is not what is actually happening. So I don't really want to talk about what ought to be. See, the brain of Cameroonian, for me, I see that at the level of politics, it has been formatted very well. That people are looking at the aspect that he's not feeling fine, who is the next person? Who could have believed that Nyanji Fenji will still remain as the president of Senate with his health? Now, coming to talk about Kavaege Jibril, why was the session not today, Friday? Why was it sent to Monday? Because they are expecting to look at his good health so that he will come back and still be president. So why should we be hypocritic? I will not be hypocritic because I know that this thing was moved today to Monday, because they know by Monday he should be back to take back his mantle, because he is respecting who brought him there. And we should be honest, this is somebody that has been in the parliament since in the early 70s. He was there in the early 70s and lost one mandate that he went back, and later on came back till 1992 that he took off as president of the assembly, and he has been there up to now. And does it mean that there is no Cameroonian that is qualified to be able to take over? I agree that the geopolitical division of Cameroon, that okay, the president maybe has the view that okay, since he is from the center, maybe somebody from the north should be the president of the assembly, and maybe somebody from southern Cameroon should be a member of parliament, prime minister. So he has digested to look at it that way. Okay, when we talk about the center, he looks at the people of the west. He said, okay, let me give them that of Senate, all this, and try to do regional balance. But it is his will. It is not like it is law or is something in the constitution. No. Parliamentarians vote their president. So if they go at the assembly and they decide to vote somebody from the west region, that person becomes president. If they go there, they decide to vote an Anglophone as president, automatically he becomes the president of the Senate. There is nothing that deprives any member of parliament in the House of Assembly not to go in for that. If somebody from the central region is voted by all parliamentarians, automatically he becomes the president of the assembly. There is no law that will deprive him not to be. So okay, we should be honest when we are saying all these things, and we should be very frank. There is no law.
But my focus was to look at the power that he wields. What can he actually change outside the parliament? Okay, let me take two messages and then we continue. Greetings to my media prime and to you in the studio. An anti-gang team or any other security measures can't be put in charge of your conference. conference ground without your knowledge, but it does happen. So, meeting is wrong. Pastor Lawrence from Bamenda, God bless you. God bless you too, Pastor, watching from Bamenda. Pastor, we understand that the north is not also too fair secured. So there are some other security dispositions that may be taken without knowledge. Mr. Leo, good evening. I love Prime R and the intelligent speakers you always have in your panel. I just want to remind us that other factors will be considered in the investigation, given that Cameroon hasn't got the right tools to identify fingerprints. I'm Daki, also writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Daki. Good evening, all of you in the studio. Please arrange the setting of the news because the words comes out before their lips pass. Okay, I'm sure it has to do with synchronization, which must be checked in the... Okay, I hope the technicians are working on that to make sure that there is synchronization between the sound and picture. This one says, Mr. Tajavis, he couldn't be attacked in the various areas you mentioned. It's a planned stage act so as to blame the Boko Haram. Why blame the Boko Haram? The same reason I once told you that he can't make himself to the northwest because tomorrow the regime will assassinate and blame the Ambamba Raoul. Bar Raoul is the CRM president for the Northwest region. Good evening to you, Bar Raoul. Now, I was looking at the importance of the speaker. Yes.
Of the speaker.
I must say that the speaker has a great role to play, and the power are diversified according to the different, the constitution actually stipulate the power of the speaker. If you see the power of the speaker, one of the power that the speaker has is that he has that power to call for an emergency parliamentary extraordinary session where there is a crisis going on. He has that power, and he equally has that power to call for an impeachment of the president and some members of parliament and members of government when things are not going. He has the impeachment power. If we see this, the laws of Cameroon gives the parliament the power to impeach the president, and the Senate now has the power to acquit the president, whether the president is actually guilty of the offense or not. Now, he equally has that power to impeach, to call for an impeachment of an MP. If he discovers that an MP is not towing the lines governing Cameroon, he has that power. And there's equally that power where you see when a legislation has been passed and has been voted in both the upper and lower house, and there is still a chaos in that legislation, he has that power to call for a session such that they look again into it and to solve it. And like the crisis that's ongoing in North and Southwest, he had that power to call for an extraordinary session to see that they discuss and table bills. Remember that the Cameroon law does not give room for private bills, where individuals can come with their private bills and submit it and they deliberate it, as the case is with other nations. So bills are thereby tabled by, the parliamentary majority, or the government tables the bill, and of course they defend it. And he has that power to one of the issues that the power has not been well used, is that power to prop into ministers. We have lots of ministers that only get an arrest warrant after they have been removed as minister, which I think the House should be there to do check and balance. It is the duty of the parliament to sit and ask each minister their roadmap and evaluate how far they have gone in their developmental project. You see that Cavaye has that power. But when we come to the aspect of decree, you see that it goes now to equally managing the government, the day-to-day functionality of Cameroon, it lies within the ambit of the head of government. So Cavaye has the power of legislature, in terms of how bills are passed, in terms of how bills are voted, in terms of how people are check and balance. He has that check and balance power in his hand. If Cavaye decides now that, okay, the president should go, he calls for a session and they impeach. Let's not look at whether it's possible or not. Let's give Cameroonians the object, how it's supposed to be. It's not what is.
But how well has he used this pass?
But he has used the power based on the party ideology. Remember that, Leo, we have just few politicians who, even from the CPDM, that actually don't toe the party ideology as per se. Case in hand was Honorable Fix Etoke when he was still MP, like you saw during the Measure National Dialogue. He was one of the rare CPDM MP at the time to say, no, my people call for federation. But when you look at Cavaye has never, or in few occasions, had that open critique of the government of saying that things are not moving well, let's handle it like this, let's handle it like this. Personally, he must have had that, because as a person, you can criticize something behind the stage and say, this is not working, this is not working. But when it comes to on the stage, he doesn't criticize that.
Okay. We have a call for impeachment. I hope you know that.
There is a call for impeachment, but he called for impeachment.
Yeah, please.
We have a court,
please,
and the court that take that decision.
The parliament must vote.
Please, Thankful Jones, I want us to look at these newcomers who may want to turn things around, even from within the ruling CPDM party. Do you think that the way they were sent to parliament, I'm talking about investiture, is going to decide to whom obedience is going to be given, the people or those who invested them?
You know, it is said that you cannot bite the finger that fits you. So those who invested them will be the ones to whom they will give their obedience, their loyalty. Thank you, my brother. Because when you see the way the country is managed, because we are talking about even the powers of the President of the National Assembly. The questions that come to mind is, was he voted to be the President of the National Assembly? If I thought he was voted, who voted him there? The majority, the parliamentary majority, which is the CPTM. If so, yes, then who is the head of the CPTM? Who is he answerable to? Because we are in a nation where the President is the head of the National Assembly, he is the head of the armed forces, he is the head of the Senate, he is the head of everything. So everybody is answerable to him, and in that manner, how can this person who is answerable to the President impeach the President?
I don't know where it is written that the President is the President of the National Assembly. We have three arms.
He is the head of all the arms. He is the number one military.
I understand what you are saying. It is not written in law, but we know it.
But it does.
And Cameroonians, they know it.
If we look critically, I don't come here to preach law or theory. I am here to tell you the realities on ground, things that are happening. Because we continue preaching laws and theory, preaching virtue and practicing vice. That's why we are doing what we are doing in Cameroon, and we are moving backward day by day. So presently, those guys who have gone to Yaoundé, the honorables, we will have wanted that they should make Cameroon a better place. But unfortunately, from the past experience that we have had with the MPs, they are answerable to a particular person or to a particular ideology.
To party discipline.
Party discipline. So we now begin to think that if at all this guy should do something for Cameroonians to see, would be to go beyond party discipline and maybe say that I told my people that, because I met with the substation president of CBTM Santa, who was telling me that she promises her people that I will give this, and she will give it. So I'm here to go to Santa to find out if what she said is true. So these are the type of people we are looking at. Because at times, I am somebody that I don't criticize a party completely. I criticize individuals. Because if a CPDM president arises after Biya, and he is behaving well and makes Cameroon an El Dorado in Africa, why will I criticize him? Is that what we are looking for? The problem is that we have a president who is surrounded by the enemies of the nation. And making sure that we should enter into a deep shit. And where we are today, it is very complicated for us to go out of it, because from what we are seeing presently, the way where our economy is, if care is not taken in the few months, it would be disastrous in this nation. It will be disastrous, because we are crying of coronavirus today, but there's something worse than coronavirus that is here in Cameroon, because so far coronavirus have killed only 2, but thousands have gone killed by something that is not even coronavirus. So
we have not had any case of death in Corona.
So far, but people, only 2 people are affected, but thousands have died. So far, I think measures should be put in place in how to...
Okay, good evening, sir. I just want to say that you can't feed your child and the child turns back insulting you. So that is what I quest about the newly mayors and Festus. writing from Douala, Cameroon's economic capital. Good evening, family. In the studio is Nyumphony Gilbert from Douala. How can anti-gang be walking around alone? Please, you guys should not protect the terrorist and his gang. That is to know, sir. Okay, I'm not sure he was walking alone. If they are in civil, yes. There may be 10, 12 of them who, without the knowledge of those organizing that event. But let's look at the newcomers. Can they impose a new agenda, especially when you look at somebody like Cabralibi and he's outing already because he's already telling the Doyen Dash. Yes, He told her that I'm going to hold you accountable. I took record of everything you declared at the opening, and I want to see them implemented.
You see, we have vibrant youths that their enthusiasm, they're going into it. You see, during this election, we saw one parliamentarian from the Southwest region where he openly said on a sisterly, brotherly media of yours that when he went there vibrantly, he knew that when he would go there, he would act this way. But when he got there, he realized that he had nothing to do. He's a parliamentarian from the Southwest region. He said it on a TV station. However, maybe that was his own, but maybe secondly because he was from the CPDM. But now let me talk about these new people going. Cabralibi is very vibrant. He's a strong guy. I know he will do his own best. But the problem now that we have in this country is that after all the talking at the assembly, parliamentarian will vote and the majority will decide the decision. So all of them youths, I don't know, they should concentrate with taking the grants to go and develop their constituency, because I don't know what they can do now, because CPDM, the two party lines, all of them, they are there. Look at this young, see, I enjoy the bilingual nature of this young lady of 32 years. I enjoyed her. And that is what I want to see about honorable. I thought we could have even had a law in this country that you cannot become an honorable if you are not bilingual. So when I see these youths coming up strong, vibrant, I have hopes. But when I look at the system at the assembly, I ask myself questions. Look like somebody like Honorable Wilbur that stood alone to talk. Yes, he was talking with good faith, but he was stopped. And when it comes to voting, there is nothing they will do. So since they are there, they should air their mind so that the people that voted them will know that at least they spoke. But when it comes to decision making, they will vote, and his four party with Cabral Libe and his other three colleagues will do nothing with decision making. CPDM will still decide. So I will advise all those parliamentarians of good faith to concentrate with the development grant to develop their constituency.
To add a bit to what Mr. Kedia is saying, I think that he is bringing up a very pertinent point to me, given that from the way go, if parliamentarians could take these developmental grants, go to their various constituencies, carry out development projects there, I don't think that we have crisis.
Yeah, but there is a confusion here, please. There's a confusion because when you are here, instead of telling Cameroonians what the role of an MP is, you're encouraging them to await and tax the MPs. Is that their role? The role of an MP is to make laws and not to implement.
No. They have two duties: to make law and development.
Please. The role of the legislative arm is to make the laws of the land. But even if an MP were to engage in developmental projects, 8 million for, take the case of Fako East constituency, where you are taking Limbe, Tiko, and Moyoka. What do you do with 8 million?
Let me just come to that. I think I'm happy that you brought that up, because I wanted to make the interjection after he spoke and he talked about the issue. We are simply limiting the role of the MPs should just be at the level of developmental. And
yeah, but that is not even their role. That's not their role. Yeah.
Because the MP has that ability to go to their communities, listen to the cries of the people, listen to what they feel like the laws are for them, listen to what they feel like the laws should be meant for them at their specificity, so that when they go to the assembly, they now table it to the assembly, and the assembly now look at it and say, okay, based on the fact that this region or this constituency has these challenges, we think that we should do this, because normally there's what we call a general budget, public investment budget.
Those are rules of senator,
no, let me come. There's what we call public investment budget for the nation. If you see in Ekata, there are buildings.
Are we not confusing something here, please? Is it not the role of the Ministry of Economic Planning and Regional Development to do this?
Yeah,
and then now this budget, which is reflected in the project, is now defended before the parliamentarians. Is it the role of the parliamentarians to carry this?
Which is what I'm saying, that it's not the role, because what they are limiting by, okay, we have this project. There's a danger here, Leo, over expectation. When we build that too much expectation in the minds of Cameroonians, they tend to see the MPs with different mentality, and when the MPs cannot deliver, it means that the MPs have failed. Yes, they have a certain number, 8 million, to take care of some petty projects, but we still have some people who, even though they are not yet MP, they have done a lot, like Garajagat. Go to his constituency, look at what he has been able to do. You can't to Honorable Food say, okay, he took some grant and did some other activities in his constituency. You move to others like somebody like Weber, when he was sitting there. He did a lot in his area, and the same case he's pointing out. But that doesn't mean that. Look at what Weber played. That's a role of the parliamentarian.
Please, I want us to educate our televiewers, please.
Good, that's what I'm about
now,
to know. Can I come?
No, let me ask. I'll ask the questions now.
All right, sir.
Yes. The role of our parliamentarians is to also observe what is happening and then see where laws do not exist. Also come up with laws to define certain things. Let's take the case of, it is said, you said that if a president is if a francophone is a president, an anglophone should be vice president or second in command. Are these not the things that MPs from the anglophone region should take and say, we want this implemented in the law so that it becomes law, and a host of other things that are happening in our society that are not
bills. Mr. Kum,
you
see, we in Cameroon. Cameroon is a
but these are the things. These are the things that the audience should know.
Mr. Kum, I think I want to answer your question. On several occasions on this same panel, I have said that if the former MPs that we have had went to the parliament and said there was no road leading from Ngomisingong to Kumbu, from Kumbu to Nkambe, from Nkambe to this place, so that when this budget comes in and someone is to defend it, they will know that there's no road in this place, and from this place to this place there's so and so goods or products that come from there that can help in the economy of the country. So, and they see that no, it's good for the government to push in some cash or much budget that way. That's the rules of the MP. Now we are trying to hang on the little, how can I call it?
No, but why are you not tasking them to do their job by coming up with legislation with issues that define how the country should?
Mr. Kum will have been behind the neck of the former ones, saying that the MP should have done this, the MP should do this, and they have not done it. So we think that their hands are tight, as Mr. Keja said here earlier.
Parliamentarians are members of the assembly, but they don't present bills.
Mr. Keja said earlier that this dance, when they go there, they are vibrant. On arriving the assembly, their hands become tight. They see that the thing is that they just go to clap their hands. So we try to see if in clapping hands, a little of goodness can come out of the clapping of hands, and we welcome it. Rather than expecting that they should go and pass on bills there of which they will never vote a bill there. So there's no need in expecting something that will never come out. That's what I'm talking about here.
Mr. Kum Leonard, as you earlier said, we are here to
no, but at least let the public know
we are here to
what they're supposed to do.
the masses. Okay, and I would like this to make this clear in my own perspective that parliamentarians are lawmakers. They are there to make laws.
That's it.
Senators are there to represent where they are coming from to pose this problem.
Their regions.
Yeah. Their regions. To pose the problems in their region. It is not the job of a parliamentarian. They are there to represent maybe what councillors, because normally we have regional councillors to represent their ideally what they want. The person that carries the decision of that house from the region
but
to their own,
the senators do not find themselves in all the divisions. They are
they are carrying the words of the people of the regions. Remember that the senators are supposed to function very well with the coming into play of the regional councils.
Of the regional council, they represent the regional councils in Yaoundé to take their plea. A parliamentarian is just a lawmaker to sit and decide the law. Now, my problem with this is that a parliamentarian cannot present a bill in the assembly. He sits, when the bills come, they deliberate on it. It's just like what I was telling another guy, that the Constitutional Council cannot do anything about election in Norway and Southwest. If they of the SDF, they don't come and complain, they will not do anything. So it is with parliamentarians, they go there, they sit. If these bills don't come in, they won't do anything. If it was possible for a parliamentarian to present a bill, Honorable Wilbur could have come in to present a bill that this is what the 4,000 Cameroonians want to solve the problem. But the law does not permit them to present bills. So what are they to do? They are just to wait for bills that come from the presidency so that they endorse. And that's where the problem is.
Yeah, but
and that's why I am saying
my question is, there is a new breed that is coming in. Don't you think something different can come out of?
That's what I'm explaining to you. Let me take again an example. We heard Honorable Cabral Libi saying that the problems in Cameroon, he listed 4 of them. He talked about the problem of nationality. That they need to see into it. Now my question is, he is a parliamentarian, he cannot bring that bill in the assembly. Meaning that if that bill does not come from the presidency, there is nothing he can do about it because he cannot present that bill.
No, the second issue he cannot bring, he can bring.
The parliamentarians don't present bill, NASA. In Cameroon, they don't present bill.
SDF presented a bill that went to, it was stopped at
you saying that it was stopped
at a level, but it was initiated.
It was deliberated.
Yeah.
Where?
At the National Assembly.
National Assembly.
Yeah.
See, when we are saying these things now, we should be honest. You said we are educating the masses. We know what ought to be, and we know what is happening.
But let's tell the odd.
I'm saying that this new breed. You are talking of the past. Don't you think a miracle could happen this time around?
Oh yeah. See, I should not have bad faith. I should have good faith. With my good faith, I believe that something can happen. When we are talking about the type of bills, private bills and bills that come from the government, we know the ones that always penetrate the assembly, which come from the government. My plea is that Cabral Libi have said good things here. When he talked about teacher, I was very happy. Because now our teachers have become commoners in the society that they maltreat them anyhow. We talk about this nationality issue. We have our brothers in the diasporas that have millions to come and invest back in their home. Look like, for instance, in the Northwest region before this crisis started, no indigene of the Northwest region could go back and open a company because there was no industrial zone in the Northwest region. These are the various problems that we are crying in this country. But the issue now is, these parliamentarians are going there. They are waiting for these bills to come so that they should digest it. That is where my problem is. If it was clear that, okay, a parliamentarian can present a bill, okay, private individuals can present bills, civil society can present a bill, and the bill will pass and come to the assembly, it could have been very good.
Hey, Kedia, he was talking about something and you said there is no law that stipulates that. Is there a law that says that a private member bill cannot be tabled?
Well, we know the channels in Cameroon.
So why did you say there's no law?
We know the channels of bills.
Okay, let me take 2 messages. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and all in the house, and special greetings to my fellow Bamesing man. Bro, I like your spirit. Keep up. Boris say is writing from Yaoundé. Boris, good evening. Greetings to you all in the studio, speaking from the empirical experience. Those parliamentarians can't do anything better, because we know how this country works, and only some of the dancers has changed, but the rhythm is still the same. They should be called terrible, not honorable, because they have failed us.
No, that's
Fondong, writing from the Middle East. Don't know.
Dubai.
Okay, maybe you're writing from Dubai. I don't know, but one of those countries in the Middle East. Good evening, and thank you for your message. Let me take one or two more messages and then we flow with the program. Messages are not there. Okay.
Okay. I was just about to react to what Kidia pointed out some time ago. I think we should understand that change is something that is constant. And
it's like when Maurice Kamto was with the government.
Yes,
Nobody would have ever predicted that he would be where
he is today. Nobody could ever predicted that Gaddafi will be where Gaddafi will not be there again. Change is constant, and I believe that when we look at the fact that we had the old members who were there and who have been there for quite some time and were not able to meet up with their aspiration, I think when we have a new set of individuals like we have with the man of Boya, which is Molombe, the magistrate who is very young. We have the light of Cabral Libi, we have the light of Garajerat, we have the light of the man in Kumba, and we have a whole lot of others. But let us equally not forget the fact that there are still some constituencies without members of parliament, and these constituencies too may bring in fresh and younger blood into the parliament. And when I talk about change is something that's constant, I mean that yes, for sure, these people, the framework of the parliament may not be there to guarantee that objective way of passing bills, but that doesn't depict the fact that lobbying doesn't take place in such a way that if you can be able to lobby a fellow parliamentarian in such circumstances, you see that some things will be done. Look like what happened in the Senate. Senator Mbelamoki stood up when the Anglophone crisis too was hot. Is it that he could not toe the party lines? Of course, he could toe the party lines. But Senator Mbelamoki stood up. We had some few members of parliament who stood up, even at the major national dialogue. A major national dialogue where key CPDM militants who were talking about the aspect of a return of a federation in different forms. So we cannot just limit it because as it was in the beginning, thinking that so shall it be to the end. I think change is something that is constant because given where things are, we may see that change may not come, but as days goes by, Leo, there are some things that we as individuals, even those watching us, that said they will never do. But as time goes on, you see yourself gradually doing the things that you say you will never do. You can testify to that. There are some aspects that you say you can never, even Tanfo can testify. There are some aspects as an individual you put yourself that you said you will never do, even if this war is coming to an end, you will never do. Then you have done them 1, 2, 3, and you keep doing them. So change is something that is constant. Never say never until the bones are rotting. I will believe that, to me, it is good. Let's give them a benefit of that. They will bring in fresh impetus. I think their kind of argument, whether we like it or not, the old blood will buy at least 20% of their input. That 20% can affect change. Change is a gradual process. This time they are young. Maybe the next parliamentary system will have more younger people, and in the course of the day, you still see that the change move effectively. It's not like we expect that they should just move in there and change it immediately. This 5-year period is an experiment that their presence, they will evaluate and see how they have impacted. Whether a child is stubborn or not, you will have to hear or listen to that child at least 20%. You will actually give his demand at least 20%. There will be that policy of appeasement, which in the Second World War we said that policy was aimed at granting legitimate demand to aggressive nation. There will be that policy of appeasement to appease this younger generation so that they don't vibrate. When I talk about appeasement, you should understand that there's what called lobby. You are a political scientist. People don't just go to vote anyhow. Lobbies move on. That's why when you talked about the fact that the speaker is voted, that there's no law, you should understand as a political scientist that before that moment there's what called lobbying. People lobby that inside lobby. So the lobbying mechanism has been put in place in such a way that they lobby and say, let's look at the regional balance. Let's look at this. So that when you are voting in conscious of that aspect.
I want to say something again. If the president is francophone and the second in power should be anglophone, but what matters is what the person in power produces to the community or the country. The system can be implemented and the person don't still produce what will satisfy the country or community. Okay, thank you for that message. Hasalci OFC. I don't know. I can't get the. I can't understand your message. Good evening to you all in the studio. I'm Gong Francis, writing from Boyu Division. This is what I don't like the government of Cameroon because of position problem. Why can't they resign for other educated people to take place in power? You people in the panel knows what I'm talking about. Okay, good evening. I don't know. Can you be more clearer? Greetings to you, great minds. Long stay in power brings bad governance in the modern Africa of tomorrow. We want to see a rotational change of leadership with modern operating system. That is what will take the African nations forward, both the mayors and the MPs. Tabot Machiavelli is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you in the studio. The MPs can't do anything because there is a dictator person up there. Is Elviso Braza writing from Kumba. This one says, good evening to everyone in the studio. I love the program, but we should hurt people with the truth rather than comforting them with lies. There is a system in the parliament. No matter what, the president was supposed to be voted by parliamentarians. But since the system stipulated that if you are loyal to the president of the country, you don't need anyone to put you in any position. We make a lot of noise in Cameroon. We don't take action in anything. Okay, Bertrand Prince is writing from Bamenda. This one says that the Anglophones problem can't nevertheless discuss in Parliament because there have never been a bill to unite Cameroon. From Useni. Useni did not tell us where he's writing from. Okay, new faces have come. These are new persons who have been observing the political evolution of Cameroon, especially the crisis rocking the north, the northwest and southwest region, the east regions. Do you think there is a sporting chance for the Anglophone problem to finally be injected into the agenda of the National Assembly?
I am forced to think so, given that somebody like Ngala, whom during the campaigns said he was a campaign propaganda, he said he's a peace crusader. Mm-hmm. He's a peace crusader. I think that the same tactics that he used to go to Nkambe to campaign and that made so many followers to come out behind him in their numbers, as he said that the turnout was very impressive. I think that if he, with that vibrant brain, goes in the parliament as he is now and applies the same way of thinking, maybe attention can be tilted towards solving the Anglophone problem and other crises. Because he says a peace crusader is not only an Anglophone peace crusader, it's a peace crusader for the whole nation. So, as we said earlier, it is not what is going on. We are hoping for the best. We are not like being of bad faith, as Mr. Kedia said earlier. We are just hoping for the best. But when you want to try to think critically, you are tempted to think that they might end up as their predecessors. So we are hoping that they come out with a change and build a better Cameroon.
Build a better Cameroon. The crisis in the northwest and the southwest regions is taking a different turn, especially following the Bamenda attacks with the bomb explosion. The Ngalim attack, which says that, okay, this thing is spreading across the Francophone regions. Is this going to push some of these MPs, especially those of the West region, to see reason definitely for this Anglophone problem to be discussed at the level of the National Assembly, especially given the fact that it has been discussed at the Senate in America, it has been discussed at the level of Congress in America and at the European Parliament?
See, talking about, it is the wish of every Cameroonian, but I don't see that way as one of the viewers takes a message that we should tell Cameroonians the truth and not lie to them. Mm-hmm. And I will not be part of lies telling. Mm-hmm. You see, if a parliamentarian stand up at the assembly, speak and cry the way Honorable Wirba did that they should look at what is happening in the northwest and in the southwest region. We saw parliamentarians holding peace plan, crying that they are there to represent their people. They want this problem to be discussed at the level of the parliament. Nothing was done. It's 3 years now. Nothing is still being done.
Yeah, but the situation is
all parliamentarians. Now, if it extends to the West region and now they want to talk about it, I will have my own view. There were we swines that when we were being killed, nothing was done. Is when it has been extended to other regions in French Cameroon. That's when they want to talk about it at the assembly. That is my humble opinion, and I stand by it. I'm responsible with the word. If when this problem is there, with us in Southern Cameroon, you don't talk about it. When your people are being affected, and that's when you want to talk about it, then you are not talking about it now because of the people, but you are talking about it because your own people are being hurt. Now, I will still say this. September 2018, I was in Nigeria. I spoke, and one guy turned to look at me, that my brother, you are very intelligent, but what is happening in your country? That's the highest I ever felt embarrassed. This is the problem that we are talking about. If in Canada the assembly can talk about it, if in America the assembly can talk about it, the French assembly has spoken about it, even the European Union has spoken about it, and our own country is not able to sit and discuss about it inside the National Assembly.
Kedia, why did you not lobby to work so hard to go to Parliament and then possibly become the House Speaker to discuss it?
You've asked a very good question, and my viewers will understand me and they'll know why you are asking that question, because they know what it takes to go there. It is not about meritocracy. People in the party, they decide who they want to go there. All these things, my viewers, they know. You have your own opinion. You are free to say what you want to say, but my viewers know what I am saying and they understand much better. Look at what is. Viewers. They are viewing me too. Our viewers. But let me say this. But the truth is, we should be honest when we talk about our parliament. It hurts so much. Sorry, I'm saying this out of frustration. I will be very clear. I'm talking now out of frustration. If thousands of us are being killed, the number of displaced people, women are in the bushes, they now kill children with guns, and our assembly cannot talk about it, and other assemblies are talking about it, doesn't mean that us from Southern Cameroon, we are swines or what? And it is frustrating, does it? And when I always want to talk about this topic, frustration comes in, and I realize that at times I talk with a lot of emotion. Rather, I will be very clear with this. If this assembly can really sit and talk about this issue, then they support the dialogue. Because if you cannot talk about it at the assembly, where our representatives are there, and you cannot talk about it, it is frustrating. Maybe they are telling us that we don't even belong to that house.
Okay, good evening. Our parliamentarians just hand clapper, since no bills from the presidency has ever been rejected. They are just there to earn the allowance. Can you imagine that Kumba has not had light since Sunday? From Tazi Felix, writing from Kumba. The same is the situation in Boya. People have been suffering in Boya for days now, without light, without water. Please, the panel is confused. There is room for private members' bills. Okay, I'm sure that answers your question. They don't. Private member bills is from parliamentarians now.
Private member bill. Continue reading the message.
Read the message. They don't master the political situation and express themselves with difficulties. Kachundo, writing from Douala.
Can I answer the message?
No, please. Let me take another message. Hello, following your program. Parliament in Cameroon is a scam, no matter whoever gets majority. Ask your panelists. Laws are designed to suit those in power. If they are put today in power, the very bad laws will continue, and even wicked laws. Bartholomew Bushu, writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you. Yes, you followed.
Can I talk about that?
No, please. You've spoken for so long. Yeah.
You asked him the question if this wave of attack in Galem can speed up, make MPs from the West and other MPs to join their voices in order to push an agenda for Anglophone crisis, such that it can be listened to, and of course there can be some kind of proposed solutions at the Parliament. And I will tell you that it doesn't matter how long we have stayed, but what matters is how quick we can react
to save lives.
To save lives. So I will not want to look at how long they stood, but if this is happening and it will help to facilitate the process, I think it's laudable. And I want to tell you that, if we look at the kind of interventions and outings we've had as far as the Anglophone crisis is concerned, I would tell you that these MPs from the West region and others from different regions will actually see need this time around to not just talk about the Anglophone crisis, to see need to ask of the implementation of the spatial status. We long sang the spatial status, we talked about it, we actually covered it in Yaoundé during the major national dialogue, but we are not looking at how far has it been implemented, how far has it been open to the public. I think it is time good enough for these MPs who are going there to see how they can put pressure to the government to see how they can implement this spatial status. If you see how what is happening, especially at the level of the parliament is concerned, and vis-a-vis developmental issues, and of course narrowing down to the Anglophone crisis, I will tell you that a lot can be done with this fresh brand of parliamentarians we have, and they can do a lot, not just because the structure has made it difficult for them not to do, but they can do a lot at the individual end, because these persons come from their individual communities, and I think change starts from bottom, not from top. We are only seeing the change from the bottom, from the parliament itself, but we forgot to understand that these same MPs are coming from constituencies and they are Cameroonians personally. And if we can, as a people, tell them that when you go out there, this is what the common man expects from you, this is what is expected from you, I think we can go a long way. We should be able now to call these parliamentarians now to start seeing how they can push the agenda of the north and southwest region, West Cameroon, or what Kedia, I love to call it Southern Cameroon, to put the agenda on the table so that it can be discussed. I think the reason why we've long not had this discussion at the level of the parliament could be attributed to the fact that we have not been able to see the kind of things that we see now. Because the kind of thing that we see now is it calls for concern, like Kedia Riley put it, where we see the killing of women and children, and the beheading of military officials are in an increase, the attack of Fulanis are in an increase, the reprisal attack is in an increase, and now we have the Ngalim attack, and we had a bomb, an explosion, I think that was in Chang, some days ago, similar, just few days after we had that of the Ngalim attack. It tells you a lot that we are moving to a system where the conflict is gradually moving to different areas, taking into consideration that we have the Boko Haram effect in the north, we have the Seleka Rebbe in the east, and you come now to the center where we have the tussle between those from the west and those from the center, as we had in Sangmalima, and there is that internal squabble that is ongoing. So there is that need. Any parliamentarian that actually love Cameroon, it's time good enough for them to keep away, and not just keep away, but at least to reduce their party ideology and look at the interests of the state at heart, because we're in a crucial time here where national interests have never been at stake as of what we have now. National unity is seriously at stake. Look at just a quick digression where you saw the Secretary of State under Secretary of State for Africa, Tibo Nagy, just tweeted, I think when we were coming on set. His tweeting was that the state of Cameroon should ensure that he stated that NGOs are there to feed the people and to solve humanitarian crisis, and the state of Cameroon should not use NGO as scapegoats for the ongoing crisis, and stated that the outing of the Minister of Territorial Administration was hard on the NGOs. And when you look at such a thing, it tells you that our parliamentarians have that ability to call our ministers to order, because you and I cannot call them to order. Who can actually call them? Our parliamentarians. They can put them on a one-on-one. I remember there was a time when a minister was defending the bill at the parliament, and that was a 7 million, and he was asked to go back and redraft his bill. And that was a good initiative. We just look at just some kind of general aspect, but we forgot to understand that these same ministers actually suffer in the hands of these parliamentarians. But we need much to be done as far as protecting the interests of Cameroonians is concerned. There's something that Kedia talked about, that what ought to be is not what is. I think on a platform like this, we are yet to educate the masses. There are young guys who are watching us who definitely will become MPs tomorrow. From our own experience, from this discussion, we are shaping minds and ideologies such that they should understand that when they take over, this is what we expect from them.
Tell them what ought to be and what is happening.
No,
so we need to tell them the truth.
Okay. Now, Cameroon is at the crossroad. We have very disturbing issues of tribalism, discrimination, hate language everywhere. It is true, hate language has been dealt with already. Which are those core areas that require legislation to define how things ought to be done in Cameroon henceforth? What are those key areas?
I think if the legislation has to decide on the core area that needs change, the system. The system completely means that from the president, they should resign and leave power because...
okay, you want that a law should be passed that the president should resign? I'm talking about the laws that should be voted to define the way the nation should be moved.
Because when you look critically, you realize that we have Mr. Biya there. We are talking about laws. As long as this government is still in power, there's no good law that is beneficiary to the population that will survive.
There was a law that treated
let us assume that the laws may not sail through, right? Yes. That the president is still there. But what are those core areas that require reflection for legislation?
Now, education. The educational system should be reviewed because we have an educational system that trains Cameroonians to only expect to have jobs from ENAM. And that's why we have high rates of unemployment. So if that problem is solved, because when you look critically, you see that the problem we Cameroonians are facing is the problem of eating together. Cameroonians are hungry. When the job, because so somebody said on the panel, I don't know if Mr. Kedia earlier, that we have the problem of youth consuming hard drugs. It is out of idleness. It's out of unemployment frustration that they turn into such act of drug consumption. So if that particular area is touched, I think that this country will be a better place. Because they will even awaken the youth to know their responsibilities and hold their leaders accountable.
Yes, most especially I want the parliament, even though I know the possibility is slim, but I want them to pay attention on Cameroon coming back to meritocracy. Let all position be gotten through meritocracy. We should not have clowns being put in position due to favoritism and tribalism or whatsoever. If meritocracy, the right people are at the right place and at the right time, then this country will change. Talking about education, if the government could invest much more on technical education rather than this grammar education.
You mean that the laws, they should fight for a law to be passed for more investments in technical education?
Yes, in technical education rather than this grammar education, where we have people that go and study history, whatsoever in the university, and they come out and they are struggling. No. But if technical education, they invest much more on it, it will improve technology and any other aspect to level of that aspect of studies. These are the two main aspects that if the government pays attention on it. Then about the youth, they should ensure that our borders should be checked. We have hard drugs in Cameroon, cocaine and the rest. We don't produce these things in Cameroon. So we don't manufacture these things in Cameroon. The borders, they should work with
How should Parliament come in there?
Good. Sanction. Like the president of Philippines that decided that if you are caught as a drug trafficker, you will be killed immediately. And when such hard deals was put in place, the level of drug in the Philippines reduced drastically. So there are laws that they are supposed to put in place that will shape all these things to bring Cameroon back in order. I will give you another example. You see what the Minister of Public Health have been doing. The issue of Lycée de Dedo, when the young man was brought in the district hospital, we saw nurses that were televising, right? Immediately sanction came. The other one that happened that the guy's finger was chopped up by the girlfriend, the Sinafi sanction came. When you give out this harsh sanction, others will come out. And these sanctions are supposed to be backed up by laws in the constitutions, which are being done by members of parliament. So that's my greatest cry. Now, to come back with what one of our viewer texted when he says that we have private member bill. Yes, as I earlier said, we have what ought to be and what is happening. We have private member bill, but how many of them have come in? How many of them are sailed through and approved by the parliament? That's where there is a problem. Yeah. However, I would this new.
We should not give the impression.
Yes, we should not give the impression that
it can't.
It can't go through. Yes,
possible,
they should have hopes. They should believe that yes, things can change. I'm not of bad faith, but of good faith. But I'm just saying what has been happening in the past. So if the parliament can focus on this, because the problem of youth and drug is more than the problem of unemployment. You go to places like, for instance, Bonaberi, where I come from. The whole of Granga is a total mess of drug. The whole of Mabanda is a total mess of drug. All the youth there and everywhere, total drugs. And the level of these guys taking drugs, they are even more than those that are not employed.
Are you taking drugs?
Pardon?
Are you taking drugs?
If I'm taking drugs, I will not be here talking with you.
You say everybody is taking drugs.
I said almost everybody. Okay. Almost everybody. Almost everybody. What should not be forced into my mouth?
Thank you for editing. Okay.
All right. So if this is done, then we ensure that things will be in place.
Good evening to you all in the studio. May the merciful peace of the Lord be with you all. Amen.
Amen.
My name is Unstoppable Jones. We cannot be indivisible. Cameroon with lies telling a country with fake promises and zero fulfilled. The Bible says in Proverbs 21, and I quote, the violence of the wicked will destroy them because they refuse to do justice. Every Goliath in power has his own David. Okay. Wow. That is, I don't know whether that's a prophecy. Good evening to you, Mr. Leo, and the panelists in the studio. I want to appreciate Mr. Robert for telling Cameroonians the truth. Only few people will have that courage to address the issues the way he's doing with him. I see a better Cameroon in future. Ivo is writing from Ireland. Ivo, we are glad to read from you. This one reads, good evening, fresh MPs, senators joined together can never do anything in Cameroon so far as the strong man remains at position. The problem of this country is A2D. Yangtze Jones is writing from Bonaberi in Douala. Good evening to you people in the studio. I'm Kizito from Kor. Parliamentarians in Cameroon does not have any power of their own. So if the Anglophone problem is being left within their reach, they will do nothing. I love the program. Thank you. Good evening. The panelists should not confuse the functions of the executive arm of government and the parliamentarians as regards the tabling bills in parliament. The law is meant to enforce the constitution, not to contradict the constitution as one of the panelists is trying to portray. Mbofung Voyi, watching from Bamising, okay? Hi, good evening to all of you in the house. I'm A.P.S. Stanley from Tombe. There is a dictator up there, keep on exposing them, okay? Okay, if there is. For the country to change, the corrupt regime must go. Divine is writing from Douala. Good evening to you all. Mr. Leo, this present regime has made Cameroonians never to have confidence or trust in any of these new MPs. The government seats are possessed and anyone who sits there, Okay, King David is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, King David. You have areas that you think should be looked into, especially when we talk about regional balance. Regional balance, I don't know whether there is a text that actually spells out what should be done when it comes to division of power according to the regions. I think entrance into ENAM, what quota should go for this, that. And then do you think there should be a review of the voting age also?
I strongly believe there should be a review of the voting age, because if we look at what gives you the power to be judged as an adult, it starts from 18. At 18, you can enter into Cameroon military and defend the state. At 18, you can stand and at the court and be considered as an adult. But at 18, you cannot vote. You cannot take decision. I remember in 2000 and that should be the presidential election in 2011 when I think one of my friends was at 19 years. He just turned 19. But he could not register for the presidential election because his age at that time was still just 19. And if you look at the law, it takes you above 19. But that same person at 19 can get married legally. That same person at 19 can fight to defend the territorial integrity of the state. That same person can have the right to pay his or her taxes. If that person is working in an enterprise, he has a right for a CNPS number. And at the end of the day, you look at this aspect, it tells you that we need that law to be done as far as voting age is concerned. And if it is done, it will encourage lots of youth to take part in elections. Because if you see the active age in Cameroon are the youth. The youth, when I talk about the youth, I'm not talking about the logical youth that we have, that we start putting ourselves by 50, 60, 70, but the youth as youth is from that 18 to 35. If that is done, it will help a lot in order to get many young Cameroonians to decide their political future. Coming now to other areas where I think that laws has to be put in place, especially the aspect of regional balance. Like when I talk about the aspect of MP of the Speaker of the House coming from this region, the Senate comes from this region, the Prime Minister comes from this region. I think we need to put that law so that it's written in such a way that Cameroonians actually know what is happening. Because a lot of us will say, but why should an Anglophone not be the Speaker of the House and still be the Prime Minister? Why should it not be that? Why can an Anglophone not still be a Speaker of the House, the President of the Senate, and of course the Prime Minister? And why not the President if they are voted? Because it's according to meritocracy. And when we go by meritocracy, sometimes meritocracy creates problems. Not all systems are perfect, Every system has its limitation, and when we look at this limitation, we cannot come back and say, yes, there should be meritocracy, but however, we should fine-tune this meritocracy to meet up with the limitation that it has. Because if we go by meritocracy, then Grand North, let's go by its population, and the direct universal suffrage will take not just the Speaker, the Grand North will take the Speaker, the Grand North will take the Senate, the Grand North will take the Presidency, the Grand North, of course, may take the Prime Ministry. And you put that in mind, it tells you that some areas will be more beneficial. Another area that I feel like that there should be law, that good legislation should be passed, is the aspect of consumers' rights. Consumers' rights are not protected adequately in Cameroon. I would state, for example, we have a system where they like look at in you and other sectors, the right of consumers is not being protected. Look at water, especially a case in hand is water. Let me tell you, if corona is to come to Cameroon, Cameroonians will die not because they cannot take precaution, because there's no water to wash their hands. Look at the case that we have in other areas like in Wukwango, in Mutengene, in Kumba, some areas of Kumba, Douala itself, and the rest. But we are surrounded everywhere with water. What is happening? Our consumers' rights are not being protected. If we can focus on protecting consumers' rights, another area, Leo, that I think that we still laws need to be put in place is how you treat a suspect. In most circumstances, suspect, I don't know if the law is actually being fully implemented, but it should be put in place. People are treated guilty until proven innocent. And a friend of mine used an example that in US, how they arrest is that you come and the officer will kindly introduce himself. I am Inspector this, please. We have a warrant to arrest you. Please, can you just enter the car, please? But in Cameroon, he said as the car, neither, bam, you get knocked on your head before. So I think that we should put these laws that will guarantee or protect people should be proven innocent until guilty, because we have guilty until proven innocent. I think that this legislator, above all, we come now to the aspect of environment. Health hazard is a key ingredient in where we live, Leo. Look at how pollution is being done.
Okay, I'm sure some of the laws are there that we are not Cameroonians may.
But they are not fully implemented. That's why I said if they are, they should be fully implemented. If they are not, safety, consumer safety, worker safety.
Cameroon has very good laws.
Worker safety. You see,
unfortunately, let me give you that is the problem. That's why I said earlier that this government should just
no. You've spoken for more than 10 minutes. Please. No. Please. Mr. Liu, I love your program. Please keep on. My name is Mr. Tumasang from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Mr. Tumasang, writing from the capital of the Northwest regions. Good evening to you, Mr. Liu. It's Shella from Bamenda. This program is always sweet, like roasted fish and pepper with enough mayonnaise. Wow. Mr. Bia is the coach, the captain, and the one kicking the penalty, and also the one on the touchline. All the powers belongs to him. All other powers given to anyone in Cameroon is just a name, not real powers. Wow. You liken him there to Jesus Christ, who says that all powers in heaven and on earth have been given unto me. Yeah, that's how you describe Shella. That's how you describe President Bia. This one says, let's keep praying. It's very possible for God to use the same leaders to bring a change to our nation, Cameroon. God's ways are not the ways of men. We should not put our confidence in men because they can easily change overnight like a chameleon. King David is writing from the nation's capital, Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and all the panelists. Mr. Liu, I don't think the fresh MPs can change anything because they are simply going to join the system. Where have you seen a parliamentarian in Cameroon called any government officials to order? What I advise is, if you are Christian, please don't go to parliament because you will be transformed to a heartless person. Gaius is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening, parliamentarians. Is Mbaku Roberts talking. We, the youths of this country, are tired, so we need answers about this whole issue because our future is bleak. Thank you all. Thank you too. Now, when we look at it, seemingly Cameroonians don't trust the MPs. Is it an issue because quickly you tell me it's party discipline? But do you think that persons of caliber cannot go beyond party discipline, party lines? And my last question to all of us is that, is it now very clear and definite that the persons to be sent to Yaoundé to represent the people are supposed to be scrutinized at the local level before even placing a choice on him?
I think that the simple answer to all these questions we are asking and deliberating on this evening is that Mr. Bia and his government should go. They should go because as long as they are there, Mr. Liu, change becomes very difficult. Because, as we said here earlier, we have a very vibrant young MP going with all the good policies, like my brother Ta, with good things to propose, to give out, to see that the nation moves forward. But immediately he reaches the glass house, everything changes. That means he finds himself with his hands tight. So, if we are expecting a change now, it is difficult, almost impossible, because Mr. Bia is the head of every institution in this country. He is the head of government, the head of the judiciary, the head of the executive. That means he heads everything that concerns power in this country. And for that reason, every leader or elite in this country is answerable to him. The majority, the few that are there just to paint a picture of the kind of democracy I don't understand, are very insignificant. That's why you see the majority in the parliament is the CPTF. And in that, when the parliament is filled with the party in power, what do you expect from them? They are answerable to their board because they even win the election.
Let's look at the case of the CPDM. Are you saying that scrutiny is not supposed to be done as to who represents a constituency even within the CPDM?
I was getting there because you look at the way these guys win the elections to get into the parliament.
all the things are very bleak. The way the elections are carried out and the way they win, the electoral code is phony. People win in very questionable conditions and all that. So there's no hope except Mr. Biya leaves.
Yeah, I think isn't it time to start educating people as to the rule of MPs, so that if they are better educated, they would know who to choose to go represent them, knowing fully well what it is required from an MP.
For sure, the education, as time changes,
because seemingly
there's a lot of
Cameroonians think that an MP is somebody who should go and then come and build roads and then provide water. That is a notion.
A parliamentarian does not represent a constituency. A parliamentarian is a parliamentarian of the country, and they make laws that cover the country and not their constituency.
In respect of what's happening in their constituency.
Excuse me, sir. When you go there, you are voted by your constituency. But when you are in there,
any law that is voted in parliament applies nationwide.
Yeah. Nationwide, and not only the plight of your people. Meaning that as a parliamentarian, if all constituencies they say we think this law is the best, and the people of your constituency says no, they don't think, you are to vote what majority of the country wants. So parliamentarians are lawmakers. They look at the problems in the country and they bring out laws that they know will solve this problem, and they send it now to the executive arm of government that ensure that the law is fully executed as they want, and those that face the law, the judicial arm of government now will get them and give them sanction. But however, that is what ought to be, but that is not what is happening in Cameroon. So we are expecting change, hope that things should change, so that at least we should see the betterness. Even though there have never been a change from bad to good under one leader who is a dictator. But let us hope that in Cameroon it will be a miracle.
Okay, yeah. There is need to start revisiting the notion of an MP in Cameroon and start looking at future MPs.
Yeah, you remember the road to February, I earlier made mention that civil society had that role to play to educate the masses as of why they should vote and the reasons for the people whom they need to vote for and their functions. I said here that the civil society has to educate the voters, and this is happening because the voters are not educated as of the role of these MPs, and these same MPs go now to the field to confuse the voters and tell them, hey, when you vote for us, we'll provide you roads, when you vote for us, we'll give you this, when you vote for us. So they give now the expectation and make the people to see them from a developmental perspective than from a legislature's perspective. And I will not blame the common man to have that mentality, because when you go to naturally their campaign, they will come and tell you, even a road that is a government project, they will tell you, see this road here, we will tie it. You see this water crisis is a problem that will be solved. There's a mayor in that constituency, and it takes you tells you that they take, in fact, they construct everything in that area. There's a mayor in
that constituency. There is a minister of public works. There's minister of economy planning.
And regional development. So we have a lot have been budgeted, but they will tell that common man that you see this thing, we will do it. And I saw that during the campaign period of February. And what will you blame the common man? I agree with you that is why we need that legislature. We need, that education, such that when they come to the field, the local mami in the Komebaluwe, that local person in Santa should know that this thing you are saying is a lie. And that should be done both in English, in local languages, and in Pidgin.
Okay, but I think it is also incumbent on us, the press, to educate the people on what they should expect from MPs. The reason why we are discussing this. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and everyone in the studio. They can change the situation if they are not from CPDM, because majority of CPDM MPs in the Northwest are appointed, not voted by the people. Tell me how your enemy can help in one way or the other. This is Clovis writing from Yaoundé. Lots of messages from Yaoundé today. We are out of time. Good evening to you all in the studio. I'm John Bosco from Bamenda. This program, I love it. It is very, very interesting, John Bosco. We are equally very elated to know that you are enjoying the program. We want to say thank you for coming.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here, and I still want to remind again the Minister of Public Work that Cameroonians that need their antiretroviral all over the national territories are complaining. I've seen it on the newspaper, and I've seen some social media platforms in which they are complaining there. Those are people that the government should do everything possible to ensure that they are of good health. And greetings to my Bamison people and those of Ndop and the entire country as a whole.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Travis, we are grateful you were part of the show.
Thank you, Leonard. Thanks to the team, and of course, I want to say thanks to the Minister of Public Health. I'll still go again to say, if because of the fact that we just had just 2 cases since it was announced of corona, thank you. And if it's because of the fact that you have been working hard, we want to say thank you. I want to say that keep working harder, such that we will actually not have this corona. And of course, we want to say the Minister of Energy should please provide our people with water, so that in case this corona manages to meander around, our people should not die, not because they don't know how to wash their hands or they don't have that precautionary means, but because they lack water to wash their hands.
Special greetings to you, Mark Stone Barry, a real estate broker and expert, managing director of Stonewall Real Estate Company Limited, based in Limbe. We hope that you are doing well with your business. We encourage those who are engaged in startups to create jobs for Cameroonians. We want to thank the production team, to you, Desmond, and to you, Eli Lidwin, who should be at the broadcasting. We say we are very, very grateful, and to all of you who took time off to watch the program, we are very, very grateful, especially you who texted. Though we could not go through all your messages for this edition of the program. We equally want to thank you, Tabitha Mbe Bryant, supervising all we are doing out here. A special greetings to you, also to Angela, who is watching from Equatorial Guinea. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.